Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiv Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhagavati Nashtaki. So now the another set of festival season starts. Lord Balarama appearance, and 8 days later it'll be Krishna Janmashtami. Then 15 days later Radha Ashtami, and of course after Krishna Janmashtami it's Srila Prabhupada's appearance day. So many festivals are going to start now. So it starts with Lord Balram's appearance day. So normally we don't have a class today because everybody is either busy in the temple for Mangala Aarti or they go to their brothers or sisters' place for Rakhi, but coronavirus has changed everything. So Lord Balram, he in Krishna Leela on earth, he appears as elder brother of Krishna. But originally he's an expansion. He's the first expansion of Krishna. In Golok Vrindavan. Now this is just for us to understand his first expansion. There was never a time when Krishna didn't exist, or Balramji didn't exist, or Radharani and all associates, or all jivas like us. We could be in different form, shape, but we always existed. We are all Sanatan. But to understand it uh, philosophically, so Balramji is the first expansion of Krishna. And Balramji expands himself into Krishna's bed, Krishna's flute, Krishna's peacock feather, Krishna's clothes, Krishna's ornaments, spiritual world. Everything is expansion of Balramji. Why? Because Balramji always wants to serve Krishna. So now, in the material world, when the whole creation, the spiritual world, well, Balramji's first, Krishna's first expansion, Balramji, from Balramji he expands himself as Sankarshan, Anirudh, Pradyumna, and Vasudeva. And from Sankarshan, another expansion comes, which is Narayan. Narayan means he fills up all the Vaikuntha planets with different Narayan forms. Now, I'm not saying that the Vaikuntha planets were empty before. So they all were always existing. There's no concept of time and space in the spiritual world. There is no such thing as time. It happened, and before that, there was nothing. There's no such thing. They were always there. But just for us to understand the position of Krishna and Balramji and the position of Narayan, and then from Narayan comes another Chaturvyu, Sankarshan, Anirudh, Pradyumna, and Vasudeva. And from second Sankarshan, the expansion is Mahavishnu. And Mahavishnu lies down on the current sagar, and from his body holds the Romakupa, or the hairs of the body of Mahavishnu, comes out innumerable material universes, and he enters each and every universe as Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And from Garbhodaksha Vishnu, we have studied how the lotus flower comes out from his navel and Brahmaji appears. Brahmaji is given the instructions how to do creation by Krishna's mercy. And then Garbhodaksha Vishnu expands himself like Kshirodaksha Vishnu. Kshirodaksha Vishnu expands himself as Paramatma. And this Paramatma enters each and every atom and the space between the atoms. And then the activity in the creation starts. So they all are basically expansions of Balramji. And of course, Balramji is expansion of Krishna. And not only that, when now Mahavishnu is there, or Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Kshirodaksha Vishnu, so Balramji wants to serve them also, because They're all originally expansions of Krishna. So Balramji expands himself as Sheshnag. And on the Sheshnag lies down Mahavishnu or Garbhadaksha Vishnu or Kshiradaksha. They all lie down on the Sheshnag. And he wants to serve further. So all the material universes are, it is also said that they are lying on the, lying as mustard seeds on the hoods of Sheshnag, because that Sheshnag or Anant Shesha, that is at the bottom of the Patal Loka. And he's holding on all the universes on his heads. So this is the mood of Balramji. And not only that, this is the when the creation takes place and he wants to serve Krishna in the creation part. Even with Krishna, either in his Golok Vrindavan Dham or in the Bhauma Vrindavan, which is on earth, Balramji again serves Krishna, and he's the only one who serves Krishna in all the five rasas. Shantaras, as I explained, he expands himself as Krishna's dhoti, Krishna's flute, Krishna's jewelry, Krishna's bedstead, Krishna's umbrella, everything. That's expansion of Balramji. Then Dasiras, because the mood of Balramji in any way, form is to serve Krishna. So that's Dasiras. So then comes Sakhyaras. So Sakhyaras as a friend. So Balramji is always with Krishna and cowherd boyfriends. Whenever they go out in the forest to take the cows for grazing or to play games, Balramji is always with Krishna, serving Krishna as a friend. Then Vatsalyaras, Balramji takes a form as the elder brother of Krishna. So sometimes he chastises Krishna as elder brother. Sometimes he's very protective of Krishna. Even Yashoda Maya tells Balramji that do not let Krishna out of your sight, because Krishna is very naughty, and in the forest he might do some mischievous things. So do not let him out of sight. So Balramji always keeps eye on Krishna. And then as Madhura. Now in Madhura, Balramji as elder brother cannot enter because Radharani and the gopis would be very shy to be with Krishna in front of the elder brother. So Balramji expands himself as Ananga Manjari. Now who's Ananga Manjari? She's the younger sister of Radharani. So when she's a younger sister, she can be with Radha and Krishna anywhere and everywhere. There's no limitation. And she could enter any of the kunjas where Radha and Krishna are having their pastimes, and she could serve them, she could bring anything for them. So the mood is to serve. That is the mood of Balramji. So even Krishna's first expansion, or if we look at Srimati Radharani, who's the personification of Aladini potency, the pleasure-giving potency of Krishna, even her mood is to serve Krishna. And with that mood, Balramji, when he serves Krishna, he becomes, and in fact Srimati Radharani also, in one way, so he becomes the spiritual master of the whole universe. Because any service mode that we learn, actually it is in Balramji. So by his mood, by his service, and sometimes by his instructions also, he gives this message how to serve Krishna. And he inspires us how to serve Krishna. So that way he's the Adi Guru, how to approach Krishna by service. So here, in this pastime, when Krishna and Balram came in Dwapar Yuga, so we know how Kansa was taking Devaki and Vasudeva after marriage to their palace, and then there was a There was an Akashvani, a voice in the sky, that the eighth child or eighth son of this Devaki will be the cause of your death, O Kansa. And Kansa became very angry, enraged, and he took out his sword to kill Devaki right away. But somehow Vasudeva pacified him, and he told him, "I'll give you all the you're not you should not be afraid of Devaki. Or be afraid of the eighth son of Devaki, not Devaki. So why you want to commit this kind of sin by killing an innocent woman, a helpless woman who happens to be your sister? So I promise you that I'll give you all the sons of Devaki, and then you can do whatever you want to with them." So Kansa agreed because Vasudevji spoke so mildly and so softly, so convincingly. And this is what Vasudevji did. He brought the first six sons of Devaki to Kansa, and Kansa killed them all mercilessly, ruthlessly. He just banged the newly born baby on the rock, and the babies would die. But the seventh son, when Devaki was pregnant with the seventh son, seventh progeny, so Krishna made the arrangement because this seventh child was Balramji. Now, Vasudev's another wife, Rohini, she was in Vrindavan at the house of Nanda Baba and Yashoda Maya. Because when Vasudevji and Devaki was imprisoned by Kansa, he made the arrangement so she could go and stay with Nand Maharaj. And Nand Maharaj and Vasudev, it is said they're cousins actually. They're brothers. They're friends also, but they're brothers. Um, Nand Maharaj's mother and Vasudev's mother. So Nand Maharaj's mother was a Vaishya, and Vasudev's mother was a Kshatriya. And because of his father was a Kshatriya, Nand Maharaj's father was Vaishya. And because they both had those two fathers, they had one father, common father, and he had married two different ladies, queens. So from Kshatriya queen, he had the father of Vasudev, and from Vaishya queen, he had the father of Nanda Maharaj. So they are the family tree combined. So, so Rohini was living in Vrindavan, in Gokul actually. At that time they were in Gokul, and she was pregnant. She was pregnant with. Now Rohini is the original mother of Balramji. Devaki is not. So Rohini had Balramji in her womb. And what I studied was Devaki had Sankarshan or Ananshesh in her womb. So what Krishna told Yog Maya to take the pregnancy or take the embryo from the womb of Devaki and transfer it to Mother Rohini. So Mother Rohini already had Balramji there. But she felt that she lost Balramji. But actually what had happened is Anant Shesh came and he entered Balramji in the womb of Rohini. So Devaki's womb was empty now. So Kansa was given the news that because before that Kansa was waiting for the baby to appear, and now he was given the news that the baby is not there anymore. And Kansa was happy that, oh, because of my fear, see the even the she had a miscarriage. Devaki had miscarriage, and he was very happy. But he didn't know the womb is already transferred to Rohini, to Mother Rohini. And then Mother Rohini gave birth to Balramji today, on this day. And then Krishna appeared in the womb of Devaki. In the mind of Vasudeva first, and then from mind of Vasudeva, he transferred to the mind of Devaki, and from the mind of Devaki, he transferred himself to the womb of Devaki. So Balramji, when he appeared, Um, so obviously everybody was very joyful and happy, and somehow in the Krishna book, Prabhupada said Krishna appeared 15 days later, but here, according to this calculation, Balramji is on Poornima and Krishna appears on Ashtami, so 8 days later, Krishna should appear. But there could be some other calculation based on nakshatra. So that is why it's a different calculation, could be different. But anyway, Krishna appeared after Balramji in this incarnation. But when Krishna ordered Yogamaya to take the embryo from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini, so we can understand whose original personality. Maybe Krishna is ordering how Balramji is going to take birth. So here in this pastime, Balramji appears as elder brother, and there was a reason for that also. And the reason was in the previous incarnation as Ram and Lakshman, when Ram was banished to the forest, Lakshman said, "No, let's not go. Let's just stay here." And Ram did not listen. And so many places, Lakshman, because he was a younger brother, he had to carry out the orders of Lord Ram, even though he did not agree. Just like when Mother Sita was put through this test of fire, and Lakshman had to make that fire. And then when Sita was banished to the forest by Ram, so Lakshman had to take her to the hermitage. And Lakshman didn't like doing all this service because it too painful. But Ram was elder brother, Lakshman had to follow. So then Lakshmanji said, no, no, no. Next time, I'll be the elder brother and you remain the younger brother. Although Krishna still did not listen to Balramji, but that was a different story. He still was the elder brother. So then Krishna also came to Gokul. Vasudevji brought him after he was born in the prison house. And Vasudevji brought him to Gokul. And then Krishna and Balram, they were together and they had so many mischiefs they would do, so many pastimes. Like when they were little, they would show little teeth were coming out from their mouth because they wanted to give full pleasure to Yashoda Maya and Rohini. Good, full pleasure of the parental love as mothers. And they also wanted to enjoy this sweetness of parental love. So when they were little, very little, they were crawling and they would go in the Goshala and then they would hang on to the tail of the calves. And the calves would get scared and they would jump and they would run around in the Goshala and dragging these two boys. And the boys would be dragging back and then all over the mud and cow dung and urine, cow urine was there. And the calves would be running and these boys would be hanging onto the tails and mothers would be laughing and they would be like, look at these boys, how naughty these two are. But they would enjoy. They would enjoy these pastimes. And when they started growing up, and then slowly, they were taking calves out to the forest for grazing. And then they both, on Gopashtami day, they got the permission to take out cows for grazing. So cows, the reason behind taking out the cows was then they could go deeper in the forest because with calves, they were little and Yashoda, Mayanan, Baba, Rohini, they won't allow them to go deep into the forest. But with the cows, now they were little older, so they could go deeper and they could play more longer and they could have different pastimes. So one of the pastime was one day these cowherd boys they got around and they told Krishna and Balram that there is a forest called Talvan, and we have heard they're very succulent and very aromatic tal fruits on the trees. But the problem is that garden is guarded by a big asura, Dhenuka asura. But we want to eat those fruits. So please make some arrangement. So reason behind cowherd boys saying that we want to eat those fruits. Because if they had said, okay, Krishna Balram, we want you to enjoy those fruits, Krishna Balram would have said, no, 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 it's okay, we don't want to eat those. Let Dhenukasura be happy. But the boys, they wanted Krishna Balram to kill Dhenukasura and the other asuras. And the only way for them to agree to this was if the boys said, we want to eat, then Krishna Balram would do anything to satisfy, to please their friends, their devotees. So Krishna Balram and all the cowherd boys, they entered the forest, and Balramji went to one tall, there's a huge, tall tree. In fact, the Talwan is still there. Whenever we go to Braj, we can see that place. So Balramji shook that tree, and many fruits fell down. And Balramji picked up and he was distributing. But Dhenukasura heard that somebody is in the garden and he's shaking the tree and he's trying to steal my tal fruits. And this Dhenukasura, actually, he was a servant of Kamsa, and all these fruits would go to Kamsa's kitchen for him to enjoy. So Dhenukasura came running, and he came and he saw Balramji shaking the tree, and he got very. And Dhenukasura, now, he was an asura in the form of an ass, the form of a donkey, and a huge donkey he was. And he came running, charging towards Balramji, and he got very angry. But Balramji was little boy, all these boys were little, and he was shaking the tree and the fruits were falling down. He came running, and then he just turned around because all these donkeys, they don't hit with the front legs, they hit with the behind legs. So he turned around and with full force, he just hit Balramji on his chest with his hind legs. And Balramji fell down and his chest was hurting. And he was like, what is this? But then Dhenukasura, of course, in Krishna book, it ends there, and then it is said that Balramji just grabbed hold of his hind legs and he just twirled him around and he threw him on the tall tree, and Dhenukasura fell down on the ground dead. But anyway, I mean, there's a little bit more pastime in that. But Balramji, so, and then other friends of this Asura, all in the form of donkeys, they attacked Krishna Balram. And Krishna Balram, they just did. What they did is grabbed onto the hind legs of these Asuras, and again they just twirled them around and threw on the top of the trees, and they all fell down dead. It is said they were so huge, these donkeys, and there were different colors of donkeys, that everybody was falling on top of each other. It looked like different colored clouds were there. And then when they finished killing all the asuras and all the fruits were on the ground, then the cowherd boy said, nah, let's not eat those fruits because the fruits are smeared with the blood of these demons, and no, they're not good enough for us to eat. So let's go. So all the aborigines, Adivasis who were living in the area, they came and they ate those fruits. So now, I don't have too much time. Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained in his book Chaitanya Shikshamrita that all the demons killed by Krishna and Balram in Vrindavan, they represent different anarthas in our art. So this Dhenukasura that was killed by Balramji, it represents, because it's a donkey, so it represents ass-like mentality. Ass-like mentality means, now ass, what does it do? He works very hard for very little gain, for a washerman. So this ass-like mentality in our consciousness makes us work very hard, either karmically, that we work hard to make little money, and then we think we will be happy with that money, or work very hard to gain some knowledge, which actually doesn't help us in bhakti. So it's an anartha, and this Anartha, it keeps us from progressing on the path of bhakti. So these demons, when we hear these stories, or when we read these stories with full faith and attention and love and devotion, then these anarthas in our heart, they get killed. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur also explains that the demons that are killed by Krishna, when we read those pastimes, the anarthas are killed by Krishna in our heart. But when the demons, those are killed by Balramji, although he did not kill too many demons because he wanted Krishna to get all the glories. So it was Dhenukasura, Pralambasura that Balramji killed, and Vivid Gorilla Balramji killed, something like, and not too many demons that Balramji killed. So those demons which are killed by Balramji represents anarthas which we have to work upon ourselves. By the mercy of Balramji, we can kill those anarthas in our heart, but we have to work on those anarthas, those tendencies in our heart. So this ass-like mentality of working hard for very little gain is something we have to work upon and understand what are we doing, what are we wasting our time for, and get this anartha killed from our heart, get it out of our heart, so that we can make proper progress on the path of bhakti. There are so many pastimes of Krishna and Balram together in Vrindavan, and also when they went to Mathura, and then they went to Dwarka. And in living in Dwarka also, so many pastimes, and then the war of Mahabharata started, and somehow Balramji had affection towards Duryodhan. He was a teacher of both Duryodhan and Bhima, but he had affection towards Duryodhan. So he taught Duryodhan the club fight, how to fight with the club, and then. But when the battle of Mahabharata started and both Duryodhan and Arjun came to Dwarka asking for help, Balramji said, I don't want to be part of this. Krishna is already part of Pandava's team, and I don't want to fight against Krishna, be on the Kaurav's side, and I don't want to be on the Pandava side either. So I'll stay neutral and I'll go for pilgrimage. So when he went to pilgrimage, he came to this place, Naimisharanya. So we always hear Sut Goswami speaking Bhagavatam to 88,000 sages in Naimisharanya. But before Sut Goswami, there was a sage, what was his name? Somehow it's on the tip of my tongue, I'm not getting out. It was actually Sut Goswami's father who was speaking Bhagavatam to the sages. And when Balramji entered that arena, he did not get up to receive, to respect Balramji. All the sages got up and respected because they knew Balramji is Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Romharshan Sutta, he did not get up and pay respects. So Balramji came to the Vyasasan where Romharshan Sutta was sitting, and he got so angry at Romharshan. He said, "You're like an actor in the play who has just memorized his dialogues and just delivering the dialogues. Your heart hasn't changed. Although you're a disciple of Ved Vyas, but your heart hasn't transformed by listening to all the scriptures from Ved Vyas. So you don't have the realized knowledge. You're just speaking like a parrot, and you're not the fit person to speak on Bhagavatam sitting on this Vyasasana." So Balramji just picked up, there's a kusha grass there, he just picked up the kusha grass and touched the tip of the kusha grass to Romharshan Sutta, and so Romharshan Sutta died. So see, so much problem can happen if we commit offenses against the Supreme Lord. And then all the sages assembled. They said, well, whatever you did, it is all perfect because you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we had given this Ram Harshan Sutta a blessing, a benediction for having a very long life so we could hear Bhagavatam from him. And now what are we going to do? So Balramji said, well, if you want, I can bring him back to life. I can do that. But the sages said, no, if you have punished him, you must have punished him rightly. So you please make an arrangement how that we can listen to Bhagavatam. So Balramji said, the father lives through the son, so I'll give blessings to his son, Sut Goswami, to have a long life and a proper understanding of the scriptures of Bhagavatam. So he will speak to you. So that's how Sut Goswami was installed on the Vyasasana by the blessings of Balramji. And Balramji being Adi Guru, so he gave him all the blessings, all the mercy, all the realizations, knowledge, revelations. So Sut Goswami spoke Bhagavatam then to the sages. So one has to be very careful. Just because somebody becomes a big speaker of Bhagavatam, it doesn't mean that he can insult anybody and everybody. And becoming a big speaker of Bhagavatam, the most important thing is to develop humility. Vidya Vinay Sambanne, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So one who has Vidya, he should become humble. And that is a transformation of heart. That is the first realization one should have. And then Balramji left, and then Balramji said, okay, I'll also atone for what I did, and then for my atonement, I'll go to all the places of pilgrimage and take bath over there. But his idea was to go to all the places of pilgrimage and purify them for Kali Yuga, because Kali Yuga was going to happen, not too much time after. And then Balramji came to where Mahabharata was happening, to Kurukshetra on the last day. And then he saw the fight between Duryodhana and Bhim, and he saw Bhim breaking the thighs of Duryodhana. And he got very angry. He wanted to kill Bhim. He wanted to punish Bhim for breaking the rules of club fighting. But Krishna being Krishna, he protected Bhima, and he pacified Balramji. But then Balramji left that place, came back to Dwarka. And then at Prabhas Kshetra in the Musal Leela, he basically killed Yadavas, and then he wound up his pastimes by the Sangha. Oh, Anand Shesha came out of his mouth, and Balramji rode on Anand Shesha, went back to the spiritual world, before even Krishna did. So many unlimited pastimes of Krishna and Balarama there. But the point is, Balramji is actually non-different from Krishna. Only difference Prabhupada explained is in the bodily color. Krishna's bodily color is of like a monsoon cloud, and Balramji's bodily color is of like a autumn cloud, white as autumn cloud. And otherwise, Balramji also plays on flute. Some people say he doesn't play, he plays on the flute. But once some devotees, proper disciples, they had argument. And Tamal Krish Maharaj was Prabhupada's secretary, and they both brought this argument to Tamal Krish Maharaj to ask Prabhupada about the position of Balramji. So Tamal Krish Maharaj went to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, this devotee is saying Krishna and Balram, like you said, there is no difference except of the color of the body. Prabhupada said, yes. But the other devotee, Tamal Krish Maharaj said, is saying, no, there is difference because only Krishna enjoys with Srimati Radharani. Balramji doesn't. Prabhupada said, yes, that is true also. So Tamal Kesh Maharaj said, then Prabhupada, who is correct? Which one is correct? And Prabhupada was in a little different light mood. He said, you decide. And he just left the conversation in that. So there is difference and there is not difference between the two. But regardless how we look at, they both are very, very intimate together. And whatever Balramji does is actually to establish the position, the superior position of Krishna. No matter which pastime we look at, if you really look deep into it, he always establishes the position of Krishna because he considers himself a servant of Krishna. So today being his appearance day, we should pray to Balramji to give us this service mode, so to bless us with this service mode, so we can also perform some service for Krishna, so we can also attain the spiritual world where we can serve Krishna eternally with happiness, with the right mood. So we'll stop here. Thank you all very much. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, if just conscious of time, but if you can also tell a little short story on uh, Balramji when he hangs the entire Hastinapur because of. Uh,
Yeah, that's also beautiful story.
I listened this yesterday from Gaurang Das Prabhuji, that live
Oh,
class yesterday evening.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. So you heard from a big authority. So why you want to hear from me?
Prabhuji, you are also big for me.
So what had happened? Krishna's um, son, it was Samba, I believe, who went to Hastinapur and he kidnapped Duryodhana's daughter, Lakshmana, because he wanted to marry her. So he kidnapped her and he was bringing her out from Hastinapur to Dwarka. But then all the warriors of Hastinapur, Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Dushasana, Duryodhana, they all went and fought with Samba and captured him. Of course, it was not considered proper because he was alone and all the warriors attacked him together. He fought for a while, but he could not defeat them, so they captured him. But the news came to Dwarka, and Krishna somehow wasn't there. He was busy with the Pandavas. So Balramji said, "Okay, I'll go and let's negotiate the release of Samba." So Balramji came with the army of Dwarka, and he sent Akrura. He sent Akrura, Uddhav, no Akrura, I believe. So he sent Akrura to Hastinapur to talk to everybody, to the warriors. And when he went and gave the message that Balramji is outside, although Duryodhan used to respect Balramji and everybody used to respect Balramji a lot, but this time the mood was different because they were angry. How can this boy come in and kidnap our daughter? So they insulted Akrura and they said, you go and tell Balramji that there are all these Yadavs, they are ruling Dwarka because we are allowing them to do so. Otherwise, they have no strength, they don't have any guts to rule. And the message was given to Balramji. Balramji got so angry, so angry. He wanted to teach these Kauravas a big lesson. So what he did, he went himself alone. And he has two weapons. One is Gada and one is Hal, the plow. So he took the plow and he stuck it in the ground of Hastinapur. And he dragged the whole Hastinapur. He wanted to take it and drown it in Yamuna. And he literally dragged the whole Hastinapur. Now somebody can ask, how is it possible? Well, for Balramji, everything is possible. He holds all the universes on his head. So what is difficult for him to drag a city? So when he was dragging all the palaces inside Hastinapur, there was a feeling of earthquake was happening and they were falling down and breaking, and all the warriors came running outside, starting with Bhishma. Bhishma Dev, and they came running and they fell down at Balramji's lotus. They pacified him. They asked for forgiveness that we didn't recognize you. You are here, and we didn't realize your power, your strength. And then Balramji got pacified, and he said, "Release Samba and send Lakshmana with him." So that is how Krishna and Duryodhan actually they became relatives. They are like Krishna's son and oh, Krishna's son and Duryodhan's daughter. They got married. But even though they were related, when Krishna came as peace messenger, Duryodhan still insulted him. But that's how the pastime goes on. But this is to show how powerful Balramji is. And he wanted to drown the whole Hastinapur in Yamuna. How can you insult Yadavs? So there are many, many wonderful pastimes. Actually, if you give me 2 more minutes, I can tell you another pastime, beautiful pastime. So there was this king Ravat. So because Balramji's wife is Revati, and she's the daughter of King Ravat. So in Satyuga time, this Krishna Balram pastime happened towards the end of Dwapar Yuga. Now we are talking Satyuga. So Satyuga, King Ravat, he had this beautiful daughter, Revati, and he wanted to find a suitable husband for her. So he went to Brahmaloka to ask Brahmaji, who's the right husband for her? So when he went to Brahmaloka, Brahmaji was a little busy in some meeting. He said, please wait for a while and I'll be right out. And when Brahmaji came out after the meeting, he saw King Ravat. He said, okay, he welcomed him. Okay, how can I serve you? So King Ravat said, this is my daughter Revati and I'm looking for a suitable husband. Who do you think is a king on earth who could be the suitable husband for her? So Brahmaji started laughing. He said, well, I'm sorry, by the time when you came here and you waited here, so many years or centuries have gone by on earth, and all the kings, contemporary kings that you had, they're all dead, and so many other generations of theirs, they're already dead. But now is a time of Dwapar Yuga on earth. So you go down on earth and there's Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Balramji, is there, and he's a perfect husband for your daughter. So King Ravat came down, went to Dwarka, and he went to Balramji. But now there was a technical problem. If you have read that in Satyuga, people used to live for 100,000 years, and they were very tall also compared to Dwapar Yuga or Kali Yuga. Now in Kali Yuga, we hardly live for 100 years, and we are only about, maybe tallest person is little over 6 feet. But in Satyuga, people were very tall, and they become little shorter in Treta Yuga, little shorter in Dwapar Yuga. Dwapar Yuga, people used to be 11, 12 feet tall. So now there was a height difference between Balramji and Revati. So Balramji, because Mother Revati is eternal wife of Balramji. So there's no other husband for her. So Balramji, what he did, so he raised his plow again and put the plow on the shoulder, one of the ends of the plow on the shoulder of Revati, and he dragged her down, made her of the right size of him to match him, and then he married her. So this is another beautiful pastime, Balramji. We never hear of anybody else doing something like that. Again, now we are talking of Braj Mandal. So there is a place near Gokul. I don't think we went there. We went to Gokul and Raval, where Radharani was born, but we never went to that place called Dauji. There's a place called Dauji, and there's a big pond over there. And because of all this Muslim invasion and this and that, the pujaris had hidden the deity of Dauji in that pond. And once there was no thread, they took out the deity of Dauji. Dauji means elder brother, which is Balramji. Then installed Balramji in the temple. But just like in Christian temple, Radharani and Krishna, they are together. But in that temple of Dauji, Balramji's deity is right in the front, and then there's a door to take darshan of the deity. On the side of the door, there's a deity of Revati, Mother Revati. So she's always standing in front of, looking at Balramji. So beautiful temple, very, very beautiful deity, but the mood is different. So Revati is standing right in front of Balramji, not on side of Balramji. So anyway, I think we should stop here. You all have a wonderful and safe day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai
Hare
Shri
Krishna
Prabhupada.
Mata. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Jai Shri
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna.
Thank you,
Jai
Prabhuji. Happy
Jai
Balram Jayanti to all.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Jai Shri Prabhupada.